Hi there, Mythfits. I hope you're having a good day. In this video, I'm going to talk about what happened in my NaNoWriMo last month in November 2019, and some of the very important lessons that I learned in the process. So let's get started talking about Nano. If you don't already know or you missed my last video, NaNoWriMo is short for National Novel Writing Month, which took place last month in November, every November, where people can sign up to try and meet the challenge of writing a 50,000 word first draft of a novel in 1 month, which is really hard and really challenging. And I know that a lot of people are probably celebrating right now, including me, because I did it. I won, which means I finished the 50,000 words in November. And this is a book that I have been thinking about for ages and ages. And it feels so amazing to have a first draft. And of course, it's a very, very, very rough draft, but at least it's a starting point, and I'm excited to now be able to dive in a couple months to work on revising it so that someday you'll actually get to read it. And I should have more news about that book in the new year sometime, probably in spring or early summer. So stay tuned for news about that. I know also, in addition to the people who won and are really celebrating and really excited, there are probably a lot of people who are disappointed because they didn't finish, they didn't get to 50,000 words. Because that's hard. Like, writing a book in a month is just hard. It doesn't matter how many books you've written or how long you've been writing. Sometimes things just don't go perfectly, they don't go smoothly. Things pop up, or problems you didn't see in the plot, or life changes, or just who knows, any number of things could lead to you not being able to write those 50,000 words. And I don't want you to feel bad about that if you're one of those people. We're all winners. Every single one of us who signed up for Nano and announced a project and got started, or thought about getting started, like, we've all made progress. It doesn't matter how many words you wrote this last month, they are more words than you had before. You are that many words closer to writing your book than you were at the start. So whether you got to 50,000 words or not, you made progress, and that is success. And making progress, whether it's, word by word or day by day or inch by inch, that's what's going to get you across the finish line, not only sprinting as quickly as you can. So whether you won or not, whether you finished or not, feel good about yourself for having started, whether it was just deciding to write or announcing it or actually getting words written. You started, and that makes you a winner. Now, I have done NaNoWriMo a few times before. Like, I actually did it and finished the books twice before. I intended to do it a couple of other times and like announced a project and then never really got started. But this was, I think, the first time where I did it, and I did it like really thoughtfully, really consciously the whole time. And I learned a lot of things about my writing process and writing in general, and I want to share those things with you. The first thing I learned is that sometimes you need to take breaks. If you look at my writing stats for the month on my profile, I actually only wrote 22 of the 30 days in November. There were times when I had to step away and figure things out, or I just got to a spot where I didn't know what to write next. And then there were several days that I just didn't write because I didn't know what to write next. And I knew that it would be better to take those 5 days off and maybe have to pay the price later by writing more words in a day than to spend any time writing in the wrong direction, which would break my story and make revision that much harder. And it's just better to take a break when you don't know what to do next than to try and push through sometimes. The second thing I learned is that little things add up. When times got tough and I just didn't feel like writing or didn't know what to write, I decided to try 5 minute sprints. I was like, okay, I'm just going to sit down and just for 5 minutes, because I can do 5 minutes without really stressing about it. I'll do 5 minutes and see how it goes. And I would do several of those in a day. And on the days when I did 5 minute sprints, I got anywhere from 1,500 to 3,000 words, just 5 minutes at a time. And then in the last week, when I was way behind but determined to finish, I said I would do 10-minute sprints. So in 10 minutes, I got usually anywhere between 350 to like 400, a little over 400 words. And on the days when I was doing 10-minute sprints, I got upwards of 5,000 words at least 3 days. And that's in just 10 minutes at a time. So realizing that you don't have to sit down and block an hour or even half an hour to write consistently to get those word counts, you can just do it in little bits at a time, which I'll be honest, I alternated writing and playing a game of Fortnite and then writing. So you can do that and still end up with lots of words in a day. So those little things add up. And then the third thing I learned this year was that it's okay to go off the path. Usually, I'm a very linear writer. I like to start at the beginning and follow the story through, like chapter by chapter, scene by scene, until the end. But in this case, like I knew going in what the whole first quarter of the book was, basically. I knew what those scenes were. And so I started writing that and it felt great. And then when I got to the end of that, I didn't know where to go. Like I had no idea what to do in the middle. And that was when I took the first break of days that I didn't write. Then I was like, okay, I have to start writing because otherwise I'm not going to win Nano. And I knew that I knew what the ending of the book was. So I'm like, okay, I'll go and write the last quarter of the book. So I wrote the first quarter. I took a few days off. I went and wrote the last quarter. And when I got done with that, I still didn't know what had to go in the middle. Like I had a beginning, I had an ending. I didn't know how to get from one to the other. So I took some time off and I basically made a list of all the things that I thought needed to happen or could happen or should happen in scenes in the middle. It was just a completely random list. I think I ended up with like about 40 things when I was done with my list that I kept kind of adding to over the course of a few days. And that's when I started doing those little short sprints. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to pick one of those scenes and start writing on it. It didn't matter which order. It didn't matter if I had written the ones that led up to it or the ones that came after it. I just picked whichever one I wanted to write at the time and in whatever order I felt like writing it. And the amazing thing is that it worked, and it worked way better than I ever imagined it would. I think because I wasn't trying to rush ahead to get to the next part of the story, I was able to write more deeply in that storyline, in that scene of the moment, and in that character at the moment. And I think in the long run, this is going to be a much better, deeper, well-developed story because of the approach that I took in the middle. So even though the draft is a very big disorganized mess, like all the scenes in the middle are out of order and just kind of in clumps, like I know that I can break those up into scenes and put them in the right order and like make them into a book that I'm going to be proud of. So I'm excited to take my little break before I go back to revising what I just wrote and start putting those puzzle pieces together. So to summarize, the three things that I learned about myself and about writing in general this Nano is that it's okay to take breaks, the little things add up, and that it's okay to go off of the path. If you did NaNoWriMo with me and thousands of other people this year, I hope that you achieved your goals. Or if you didn't achieve the goal you initially set out to achieve, you at least made progress toward that goal. And that you learned things about your process and about your story as you went. So respond to this video and let me know how your Nano went. And know that I will definitely be doing Nano again next year and using those lessons that I learned this year, which hopefully will not make me have to write 5,000 word days. So that's everything that I accomplished and learned in NaNoWriMo this year. And until next time, stay magical.